Well, thank you all for being here. My name is Representative Marcus McIntyre. I'm the Appropriations and Budget Chairman for Health in the House. You will hear from me, Floor Leader Eccles at the House, Floor Leader McCourtney at the Senate, and Insurance Commissioner Mulready today. But I just want to kind of get everything started for everyone else to speak. So why did we call this press conference? Well, the past 4 to 5 years, we have enacted some of the strictest regulations on the pharmacy benefit management industry. And we've done that all from the humble state of Oklahoma, where other states are looking at us for the policies that we're doing. And even so much that the feds are now taking a deeper dive and look at the pharmacy benefit industry. These companies take from Oklahoma consumers. They increase the cost of their prescriptions, all in the name of shareholder profits. And we knew that the regulations that we passed, we knew that that would result in blowback from the industry, from the pharmacy benefit industry. And we are seeing that now, and that is why we're here. The PBM industry is attempting to create uncertainty for our own constituents, and we will not sit idly by while they do this and allow it without a response. And that's why we're here today. Floor Leader Eccles, thank you for being here. The floor is yours.
Thank you, and thank you for everyone coming today. We're all here for the same reason, and that's to get correct information out to Oklahoma constituents that are out there. We've received call after call with a misunderstanding that somehow inside the legislation that we passed, that we got rid of the ability to fill a 90-day prescription. The reality is, only one company seems to not be able to figure that out. That is CVS Caremark. Now they are informing us that they do understand it now, and that now it's the employers who are to blame. The reality is, for Oklahoma citizens, this is what we talked about when we went after PBMs. This is a tried and true political message, tried and true political attempt. When you can't win on the merits, you just change the question, or you talk about something that is just flat out not true. Let me be as direct as I know how to be to Oklahoma constituents. The state of Oklahoma did not get rid of the ability to fill 90-day prescriptions. Anyone that says that is not misinformed, they don't misunderstand, they are intentionally lying to you, and we're not going to stand for it. I've been able to serve as my chamber's floor leader for the past 7 years. You do that by always being honest. You certainly don't do that by not making people mad. As I'm about to tell you, my good friend I'll introduce, that's what you do as floor leader. You make people mad, you say no more than you say yes. But you make sure your yes is yes and your no is no. This is an incredibly big step to have this many members here to talk on one specific issue. And there are many more that couldn't be here, so our constituents are clear what happens and are clear we need to continue on the path that we are going. Commissioner Mulready is doing a phenomenal job. He's a great insurance commissioner for the state of Oklahoma, and he is holding companies accountable. The state of Oklahoma wants to be open for business. We want to be able to work with companies. We want to be able to work with investors inside the state. And our regulatory framework is set up to do that. But there is a very clear statement being made. Misinformation to our citizens won't be tolerated. So with that, and with thank you, Commissioner Mulready, it's my honor to actually introduce our next speaker, because you will see this is a bicameral issue. My friend who does an excellent job as floor leader of the Senate, Floor Leader Greg McCourtney.
Thank you, Mr. Leader, and I know you may not be able to see how many members of the legislature are here, but I think it's very important for everyone to understand this is not House, this is not Senate, this is not Democrat, this is not Republican. We have been working to get control of the pharmacy benefit management industry for years. We have fought those fights, we have those scars. Many of us that are standing here have been on the leading edge, and we have the scars from those fights, and we've been lied about. We've been lied about year after year after year, and that's just part of what happens in this building. But when you begin to lie to the people of Oklahoma, when you start lying to senior citizens about their ability to get their medicine, about their ability to pay for their medicine, then you drag someone who tries really hard not to be in this press room down to the press room. We are fighting for the people of Oklahoma to be able to get their prescription medicine when they need it and where they want to buy it. And we have been on that fight for years. And the fact that even after the insurance commissioner, who will be up next, stood up and said, everything you're saying is wrong, they doubled down. They continue to say it. They continue to, through the companies that have elected to work with them, put out misinformation and scare our senior citizens. We cannot have that anymore. It is a company that has been fined millions of dollars already for the way that they practice in the state of Oklahoma. And I'm going to go out on a limb and say that they will be fined millions more. And apparently they don't really care about that. And I think that should show you how far off this pharmacy benefit management industry is at this moment, where millions of dollars is just a cost of doing business, and we would rather lie and pay fines than do what's right. So I want the people of Oklahoma, I want the people who have called me, who have emailed me from Senate District 13 to understand that we are standing for them, we are fighting for them, and more than anything, please understand that you can fill your prescriptions the way you want to and where you want to fill them, no matter what some big multinational billion-dollar corporation tells you, because the people who are standing here have fought to make sure that that continues to be true. With that, we'll introduce and just want to echo Commissioner Mulready, the work that he has done, the fire that he has taken for standing up to this industry and this company in particular is admirable, and it's the kind of person that we want and the kind of fighter that we want in our state government. And so turn it over to Commissioner Mulready, but before that, just thank him for what he has already done to let the people of Oklahoma know that they are free to buy their prescriptions the way they want to do that. So, Commissioner.
Thank you, Senator. Thank you all for coming out, first of all, but you know, in the 2.5 years that we've been enforcing this law, there was a stay in place because of a lawsuit, and that was lifted, and so we've been enforcing this about 2.5 years. We've issued fines of over $3.5 million. We've reimbursed to pharmacies over $700,000. But like I stood at this podium exactly 3 weeks ago today and stated that when you find someone a few $1 million and they go back out and do that same thing, it takes drastic action. And so we filed 3 weeks ago to go before a judge and have a hearing to possibly suspend their license, revoke their license potentially with CVS Caremark. When I go to them with fixing this issue, it's a technical and contractual issue with their employers. They tell me we can't fix that till next year. This is one of the largest companies in the world, hundreds of billions of dollar company. And you tell me you can't put resources towards that to get that fixed quickly for Oklahoma consumers. I find that disingenuous at best. And so we need to fix, they need to fix the technology issues, the contractual issues, that's on them. But they're a big company, they can throw resources at it and make that happen. So appreciate everyone being here, appreciate the support the legislature has given this, and I will close with that. Thank you all for being here.
So, just, you know, I got one of these notices from CVS Caremark. So, and I'm a relatively informed person, so I know what the state law is, and I know it's not, you know, what the notice I got wasn't completely accurate. But for another Oklahoman who gets a notice in the mail and says, we CVS Caremark can't fill your 90-day prescription at your local pharmacy because it's not a CVS Caremark or a CVS, you know, what should these people do? What should Oklahomans do? Call you, complain, or?
Yeah. What they need to do is, the issue right now, the problem is with out-of-state headquartered companies using CVS Caremark. And the complaint really needs to be with their employer. The employer needs to put the heat onto that, onto the Caremark. They're the ones that have the contract with them. And what they're saying, they're not, at this point, they aren't necessarily as much steering, they're just saying, we can't do 9-day prescriptions, period. And and pointing to the law to say that that's why, and that's just not the case. The law does not say anything about restricting 9-day prescriptions. It says that you cannot steer to one pharmacy to get that done, and that's what was happening prior to our action.
Gentlemen, could you do us all a favor and remind us what pharmacy benefit managers do, what the law you passed in, I guess, 2019 did, and how that came about and why you did it?
Pharmacy benefit managers are middlemen in the healthcare sector. So basically you have an insurance company that is adjudicating used to adjudicate a lot of claims for prescriptions. Well, that was eventually farmed out to this specialty called a pharmacy benefit manager, who would in turn adjudicate all of those prescription claims, from, I don't know, nickel a claim or whatever, but they figured out real quick that they have a lot of drugs. They're negotiating a lot of drugs through their network. And so they realized, hey, we can start negotiating prices with the drug manufacturers, and we can negotiate rebates and holdbacks, whatever we want. And it found out to be a very, very profitable segment, especially when the ACA limited most of these healthcare plans to 15%, profit on all ACA plans. So these insurance companies ended up buying these pharmacy benefit managers, and that's where they funnel most of their profits through today, because they're limited in other areas. And so what started out as a really good idea, maybe a third-party administrator, has turned into one of the most profitable segments in health insurance today. And it's because it is not transparent, and that is what our laws claim. That's what we wanted to do, was make that sector transparent. Does that help?
Yep, I think so. Appreciate it.
Trey, I could just add to that one other thing to keep in mind. 50%, 60% of PBM's business also comes with direct contracts with employers. And so that's what we're hearing from now, is those employers out of state. I've had meetings with Southwest Airlines, with AT&T, large companies like that. Basically, they were offered a contract that violated Oklahoma law, is what happened. But a good chunk of that is directly to employers, as well as the other half from insurance companies.
Self-insured.
I can see someone saying, with being steered towards a certain pharmacy or a certain 90-day prescription might save me money. So why isn't that good to have, I guess, for some consumers?
That's fine. We did not disallow that, so they can still do that. That would be my answer. They can still offer a 90-day. The problem is CVS is not, and it's through when Commissioner Mulberry talks about direct contracts with consumers, he's talking about larger companies that can afford to self-insure or partially self-insure their health program, and so that's where the problem is arising now. There's no law against 90 days. There's no law against it, and you can save money, especially on the consumer side with a lower copay. And so we did not want to mess with that at all. We want people to be able to get their 90-day supplies.
Representative Marty, if I'm not mistaken, you're a pharmacist and own a couple pharmacies still, is that right? I thought maybe you could you'd be in a position to speak about the impact of PBMs and the legislation that you all have pursued.
So currently, just for the record, I own 2 compounding pharmacies, not retail pharmacies. The retail pharmacy industry is no longer profitable for independent pharmacies, which is about 50% of the pharmacies in the state. And again, what we did with the House and Senate did back in 2019 wasn't to not allow the PBMs to direct towards themselves. It was to give patients options and to increase competition, and increasing competition lowers prices. And if Caremark and CVS are the only pharmacies left, you can expect the price of prescriptions to increase even faster than they are currently. So all we did is say, if a pharmacy is willing to take or accept the exact same contract as your mail order pharmacy or the other pharmacies in Oklahoma, that you have to offer that to them. So that's what we did, and we've stood here for 5 years waiting for them to follow the law in Oklahoma. And thank you, Commissioner Mulready has been on the ball, and just excited to see that actually happen.
Appreciate it.
can you remind us what the latest controversy is? So I got a letter myself on March 30th describing what you say other people around the state have gotten. Is there a new letter that's gone out, or something more recent? You mentioned something in court, or some sort of fine maybe coming. Bring us up to date on what's the most recent. Why did you call this meeting today? This press conference today. What was the catalyst?
The hearing is scheduled for May 25th, and that is an administrative action by the insurance department against, well before an administrative law judge, to potentially suspend or revoke their license due to their actions. I should add, as we've gone through this process and we have disciplined PBMs and fined them for some of these actions, they have already fallen in line. They're following the law. Once they understand what they did wrong, they all have. This is the only time to date that we've had a PBM really do the same violation a second time up to this group of folks. So what's happening now is some numerous letters have gone out, which is causing some of the problem. Employers sent out their own letters with maybe innocently, but with a lot of misinformation in there. CVS Caremark sent out a clarifying letter. Part of the problem that we are encountering, because I think everyone here is receiving lots of calls, we're receiving lots of calls, when they're calling CVS Caremark, they're getting misinformation on their calls. They're being told, yeah, there's nothing that would prevent you from getting a 9-day prescription. They go to fill a 9-day prescription at their local pharmacy, and it gets kicked out because the CVS Caremark system won't allow that at this time. Does that help?
And I'll follow that, and then maybe we'll take one more question, and then we can all talk afterwards. We appreciate you coming this morning. This is very unusual. You have, I pulled my phone out, so I did a little bit of math. You have 27 members in here. That's a Monday morning with just around 18% of the total legislature. Part of the reason we called it is because I've said this time and time again, when you run for office, you sign up to take a certain level of abuse, a certain level of people lying about you. If you can't take it, you shouldn't run for office. But there is a point, and Leader McCourtney said it best, our citizens didn't sign up to take abuse. And lying to them when we tried to work it out another way, that's why we took this extreme step. The extreme step of coming in here, again, I cannot be any more clear. There's nothing in the law that outlaws 90-day prescriptions. I don't know how to be any more clear. And if there is someone saying that, it is no longer a misunderstanding. It is an intentional attempt to mislead. Now, I don't want to get too deep. If we've got if everybody thinks the pharmaceutical industry in the United States is going wonderfully, travel anywhere and figure out why we pay so much more and tell me that competition is a bad thing. Now, it's highly regulated for patient safety, which makes sense, but in much more freer market systems, that's the reality. We ask, why don't we want to go to 2, and a variation of that question said before, I'm a laissez-faire capitalist with the exception of antitrust laws. There's a reason we don't want just massive global monopolies controlling all of this. You had to be clear, my friend, Chairman Marty, stood up and say he doesn't own his pharmacies anymore. That should worry Oklahomans. That should worry the United States for our healthcare system. Moving to a totally vertically integrated system is not how you protect prices. Read literally any history as to how we're doing this. So the reason we took it for a long time, and we took it, and we took it, and we took it. And we have 2 of the best reporters in the state that are asking, that they're getting letters that don't make any sense. And we're engaged. I got a letter that made me go back and reread my own law. Said, is that really what it says? And what I found out is clearly it's not. There's a right way and a wrong way to do this. But let me tell you what's going to happen next, so we can predict it. There's going to be, through a shadow group, through a dark money group, all of us standing up here are going to have a series of social media ads through the dark money group. I'm not going to say who they are, but I will say to the next press conference, if I think I come true, I think I will, that's funded majority by this, spreading once again misinformation in our areas in the district. As I've said before, no big deal to me. I'm term limited. If I never run for another office, my wife will be super happy. Little big of a deal for everybody up here. Because instead of playing by the rules and working with a commissioner who has said publicly and privately he wants to work with them, we're met with disinformation after disinformation after disinformation, and I think you're hearing the members just say we're done with it. It's one thing when you're just kicking me. You get kicked all the time. It's the old adage all the time. They're gonna kill me. They're not gonna kill me. They're gonna chew me out. I've been chewed out before. Handle it. But now we're scaring senior citizens. How do you sleep at night when you do that? I mean, how do you scare people into saying they won't be able to get their prescriptions? There's no justification for it. Nobody wants to come down and do this. I'd rather be literally doing anything else. But that's what we've come to at this stage. So the clear message, well, there's a lot of words being said. The clear message we want to make to the citizens of the state of Oklahoma, there's nothing illegal about a 90-day prescription. In a business making a business decision to not do it anymore, needs to own it. If that's the decision they make, own it. Say, we're not going to do it anymore. Don't blame it on somebody else. Don't blame it on, and that's the clear distinction that we're trying to make. We'll take one more. I know you guys are really busy.
If there is a ruling against CVS Caremark in that late May hearing, will there be any impact to Caremark customers in Oklahoma?
We'll have to address that at that time. I have no doubt that they will file for a extension of that hearing. But we'll just have to face that when it comes. I mean, they have a substantial, probably 40 to 50% market share within the state of Oklahoma, so it will be substantial.